And welcome to another episode of Let's Not Argue with myself and Mr. Sean Thomas, CEO of Go Vegan Philly,
Yes, sir.
607 Lincoln
North-
Street.
Yes, North Lincoln Street.
North Lincoln
Absolutely.
Street, Wilmington, Delaware.
West Side.
And today we have a special guest, Mr. R. Dow Hunter, one of the hosts of Intelligent Ignorance here on New Twist Radio. And we're going to talk to y'all a little bit just about, why we're all here today. But I want to thank you and welcome the gentlemen, of course, for being with us. And it's been about a week for both of us, for you, Sean, and for you, Ryan, that we've been on air. So, Like I always like to start things. How y'all been, man?
Oh, man.
Sean,
go ahead.
Sean, you go ahead and get started.
I've been amazing, man. Everything's been great, man. Just feeling great, man. That every day I'm ready to rock and roll, man. Ready to rock.
Beautiful. Ryan, how about you?
Man, you can see No Shave November ended a day early for me. I had to.
I know you're looking fresh.
I had to take the beard off for an upcoming role. I'll be playing an officer, so I had to get into character a little bit early.
Come on now. Do we got the crowd noise? Can we get the applause?
Just clap it up. Just clap it up. Just clap it up.
I'm not prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for that.
But yeah, it's been a great week, and we're here to talk about our competition coming to an end in about 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't even call it a competition though, because it was really a challenge. We kind of challenged each other to make the conscious decisions of eliminating meat from the diet. And of course we wanted to have you on here because we're ending that. We wanted to have one person that I consider an expert in the field, or becoming an expert in the field, Mr. Sean Thomas, CEO of Go Vegan Philly. Definitely go check them out, 607 North Lincoln Street in Wilmington, Delaware. But we wanted to take 30 minutes or so to really talk about the challenge, some of the things we may have done right, some of the things that we could have done better, some of the things that we probably shouldn't have done at all. And we just wanted the owner of the vegan restaurant and the person that's has the vegan diet and has the vegan lifestyle to give us his point of view, because at New Twist Radio we're a family. So we're going to cross over into everybody's stuff. So this is how we do it. So Sean, just so you know, we've talked about it before. Ryan and I decided a month ago that we were going to start a vegetarian challenge for 30 days. Okay. We decided we're not going to eat any chicken, beef, turkey, pork, hams, rams, none of that stuff. Fish was allowed.
Fish was good.
No hippopotamus knuckles, none of that.
No hippopotamus knuckles. I did have an opportunity to get some sauteed hippo knuckles, but I decided not to. That was not available at Go Vegan. So, but last week, Sean, you actually and Ryan was actually watching. You said something that stood out to me that I wanted to start off with. When Ryan and I decided that we were going to do this challenge, it was like, all right, my last day of meat, my approach was, because I kind of been there before, my approach was I'm not going to overdo it since it's my last day of meat, because I know the cravings are going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what Ryan's approach was. I know what he said to me, and I know I think he decided some different thing, but it was different. But one thing that you said to us last week was, we should have probably fasted or something beforehand. Explain that real quick.
Just to kind of rid your body of some of the bad stuff and the toxins, as much as possible, so you won't put your body through so much detoxification or work. Just abruptly going from this to that. You know what I mean? Just going from, it's like going just from hot to cold or cold to hot so fast. You know what I'm saying? Instead of gradually, upping the temperature or taking the temperature down and letting the body get adjusted to,
Right.
what you're about to do. So that would have, been ideal. The best way. That's the best way to do it. You know what I mean? Now, all across the planet, you got people who do this thing all kinds of ways. You know what I mean? But just from the research and just trial and error and people doing this all across the globe, that's the best way. But, you got people that go from, a steak dinner to 40 days and 40 nights of fasting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you can do it, but, just know what you're going to put yourself through, the body through doing it that way. You know what I'm saying? And most people not prepared for that just, abrupt change and just saying, all right, I'm going from Sunday to Monday, Sunday from having my fried chicken dinner and then Monday's going to start this 30-day thing. You know what I mean? Then you just kind of go through mentally and physically, just like, and I know Ryan mentioned it before, maybe the week before he popped in on us and just was like, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go back. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this no more. You know what I mean? But it just would have made it a lot easier to rid the body of as many toxins as you possibly can, to prepare yourself for that. That's a preparation game. You know what I mean? When you do that type of thing, as long as you guys wanted to do it. Now, going from steak dinner to 2, 3, 5, or 7 days of, a different type of diet, then, okay, cool. But for that length of time, that's a long time. You know what I mean? 30 days is a long time, for a big change like that. So, you just want to, do the proper things, possibly be on distilled water instead of any kind of like spring or mineral water, just because distilled water is an empty water, so it can grab more toxins in the body, as you're drinking it to pull out, to pull from. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, you might hear some people even talk about when you're on a certain kind of diet or fast to drink distilled water because it's empty and it can grab, a certain amount of toxins, more than spring water or any kind of other water that has minerals in it already, and it's not as empty as distilled water. You know what I mean?
Right. Gotcha.
So it's always, a good way to do it, then the best way, and then a better way. That's all. So it's not to say that you guys did anything wrong. It's just there was a better way for you to do it.
And that's just something that that's something we didn't think of. We didn't really think about. No,
Right.
I didn't, until you brought up last week, Ryan. I know there's a couple things that you came across that you wanted to bring up and get some clarification.
Along with, not to cut you off, Ryan, but just along with what I just said of, doing a cleanse or a detox, you want to also gradually take yourself into the mode where you're eating less and less and less, all the way until you're going into that diet or maybe that fast where you're eating nothing or drinking nothing. So it's like, Monday I'm eating this amount, Tuesday is a little less, Wednesday is a little less, Thursday. And then we go into that phase where we're just doing fruits or just vegetables or whatever it is, that you guys were doing, just preparing the body for that. So it's just not a shock to you, that much.
Now, first and foremost, before I hop in with kind of what I wanted to give to you, Sean, thank you for helping fuel me through this, because I had a few stops at Go Vegan Philly to eat right,
to get you right,
because one thing for me was I struggled without any preparation for this, finding the right options. So I took my challenge to probably the wrong place, which was social media, and I got advice from everybody. I have some friends who are vegan. I have some friends who are pescatarian. I have friends from all walks of their health journey, and some offered some advice. Some I took, some I didn't, just because there are some observations from me, and I noticed that, especially, there was one individual who offered me some advice, who is a vegetarian, but he is about 485 pounds. I've watched him eat, and I noticed that even though he doesn't eat meat, he doesn't make the healthiest choices when eating vegetarian.
Right.
So I could see him carbing up. He had a lot of pastas. He had a lot of breads. He had a lot of sugars. And those things aren't going to help you be more healthy than somebody who's eating meat. So the question that I have for you is, how can I balance or make sure that I'm still being healthy while minimizing some of the things that just aren't healthy from
Now,
a
yeah,
vegan and vegetarian standpoint?
right. Now, see, with your friend, what you're seeing from him is with the weight still being on him. It's like you said, he's still eating the pastas and the rice and the bread, and these things just ultimately turn into sugar. In the
Right.
body. Once it hits the stomach, it turns into sugar, which is going to turn into weight, fat. You know what I mean? In the gut, that just doesn't move. Um, so whenever you, like I said, whenever you make a change, you always cleanse, you always fast, and then you just try to be as conscious as you can. Of what you're putting inside. A lot of these things, like I said, do turn into sugar. Those pastas and those breads and things. You know what I mean? And that yeast. Ultimately, you eat a piece of bread. It's like drinking a beer. Like you just drank a can of Michelob. You know what I mean? It's just really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Which is putting a
I'm
bunch of
sorry.
weight.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's the first time I heard Michelob in a long time.
So what you're
But
saying
go
is
ahead.
I can substitute bread for beer.
You could, right? You know what I mean, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's kind of the same. When you're eating,
Right.
when you're drinking, but once they hit the belly, they turn into the same thing.
The same thing.
They turn into the same thing. You know what I mean? So you really just kind of want to make up your mind, really. Really what you're trying to target. If you have any targets or any goals, I say write those down. Going plant-based or vegan, the byproduct of that really is, losing weight. You're going to some pounds are going to come off because you're not, eating much of the meat or the starches, as you normally would. So, some weight is going to come off. So don't worry about that because, that's not saying the strength is going away. You know what I mean? You can still be strong. You can still be lean. You can still be, like I was telling Justin last week, the strongest animals on the planet, the most massive animals on the planet are vegan animals, which is the gorilla, the elephant, the rhino, and the horse. So you got to say, okay, some of the most strongest, powerful, and body mass animals on the planet, that don't eat meat, where are they getting it from? So that dispels the myth that you can't be massive or strong just eating fruits and vegetables. You know what I mean? And now it's about, what are you eating? Which ones? Getting a variety of them. You know what I'm saying? Of greens, kales, collards, cabbages, things of this nature, and just trying to mix it up, as much as you can.
You actually led me right into another conversation that I was having with an individual who is a nutritionist. And he was saying, hey, you still, if you're moving plant-based, you're not going to be able to take in everything that your body needs in terms of the nutrients. And I said, well, I'm not really 100% sure of that because I've seen for example, like Mike Rashid, who is a bodybuilder, he is a vegan. He's one of the strongest men on the planet. I'll put it that way. And to say that you're going to lack nutrients, there's an abundance of nutrients.
Abundance, fruits and vegetables.
The plants, the fruits, the vegetables. So what are some of the best
and even
options?
The nuts and the seeds and the grains, the quinoas and the legumes and stuff, the lentils and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Eating your pumpkin seeds and your walnuts and things like that. And, you know what I mean? So you're going to get all of your minerals that you need. You know what I mean? Along with coupling all of that with some herbs that you might take. The sea mosses and the moringas. Your ginger and your cayenne and doing stuff like that, adding those things to your diet also. You know what I mean? So you're gonna get all of your minerals, man. Don't worry about that. It's crazy. It's not until you try to make a change in your life for the better for your health, then all of a sudden you're a health nut. You're crazy now. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I wasn't nobody,
Yeah.
the doctor, no one says you crazy when you come in there with all of these problems from eating all of this flesh and starch every single day and doing
Right.
everything backwards and wrong. Nobody's gonna call you crazy until you say, well, I'm not gonna eat meat anymore. Then it's like, what? You crazy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where are you going to get this? Where are you going to get that? Where are you know what I mean? But especially in our community, we're so uh, malnutrition, nutritionally deprived.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you know, even with the meat, we only eat maybe three, maybe chicken, steak, and turkey. You know what I mean? Or chicken,
Right.
steak, and pork. You know what I mean? When there's just an abundance of fruits and vegetables, thousands of things you can eat. You know what I mean? So it's like nobody says you're crazy for sticking to a diet that limits you to three sources of meat and maybe two or three sources, starch, you're eating maybe potatoes or rice or macaroni and cheese, which is, pasta. You know what I mean? And your plate is full of nutritionally dead things. There's no
Yeah.
nutritional value in those
Yeah.
things at all. You know what I mean? So this is where a lot of our problems come from, just even mentally. You know what I mean? We just you on a daily basis, you eat like zero nutritional things of nutritional value. You know what I mean? And that starts to mess with how you think, and then starts to mess
Right.
with, what I mean, physically, what I mean, how you move. You understand what I'm saying? So, all of this stuff is just not, just because or just the way it is. It's like, we ask for it when we live that type of lifestyle, And a lot of our people will sit up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, in a bar somewhere or something and eat these things at that kind of time of the day. It's tough. It's tough for the body to deal with that at 1 in the afternoon, let alone 1 in the AM when the digestive system has shut down 4 hours ago.
Now,
Yeah.
question for you, Sean.
Yes.
With people, when people hear about somebody being a vegetarian or a vegan, they automatically think that everything that they ingest is healthy. But what they don't realize is there are unhealthy things that you can do with healthy food.
Yes.
Being
So
a
now
restaurant owner and a
let's
cook, what are
say
some of the worst things you can do to some of the healthy foods that are out there?
now
Like
even
frying apples or something. I don't know.
right. Even before that, when you say vegetarian, also vegetarians are the number one cancer group on the planet. Nobody gets cancer more than a vegetarian. And
Really?
people, you might say,
Wow.
wow, how is that? We thought they were healthy by being vegetarians. Well, here's the thing. Vegetarians are always seeking for a substitute in a bad way. It's because they eat,
Right.
what I mean? They because they're not consuming the meat. Now they'll consume almost anything just to try to make up for that thing, that they're craving, really. So vegetarians eat a lot of soy, a lot of tempeh and tofu and spongy nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And add that in their diets. And this is where it's coming from. This is where it's coming
Okay.
from. You know what I mean? So don't make that mistake because you hear vegetarian or vegan and think that no. A lot of people take the meat out and then replace it with a lot of things that's just as dangerous.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, wife keeps me away from soy too. She definitely
Stay,
keeps me away from
please stay
soy.
far away from it.
Yeah.
Throw it out, throw it in the garbage. That's where it belongs.
Especially for men.
Yeah,
Like men got to
absolutely.
stay,
Nah, the
really got to
estrogen in
stay
that
away.
stuff, man.
Yeah,
The estrogen
right.
levels in that stuff. So you figure George Washington Carver made the soybean or took the soybean, and for the military, they needed like binding materials in the field. So he was making like plastics and glues and stuff like that out of that stuff. It wasn't for human consumption.
Right.
It
Right.
was not for human consumption. It was for like tools and things for the military in the field. You know what I mean? And then, some person just decided, okay, we're going to start putting this in these people's food. You know what I mean? And a lot of the problems and ailments that this, American people are having, black or white or whatever, you know what I mean, is go in the supermarket and go down an aisle and you'll see soy in almost everything from ice cream to potato chips to cookies to cereals. And
Yeah.
you're like, why is soy in everything?
Mhm.
All of
True.
these different things though, you know what I mean? What's the binding? It's the, it's the soy, man. And that's the trick. That's the part right there. You know, that's the thing you really want to watch out for, man. It's putting that soy, and a lot of it, 90% of it is GMO. It's not even like organic, non-GMO
Right.
soy. You know what I mean? Most of it, 90% of it or better, is GMO. You know what I mean? Soy.
And GMO is genetically modified.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that just got to stay away from that type of stuff too. I know my wife
man.
tries to stay away from that stuff.
Oh.
Actually, I want to say, yeah, she definitely tries to stay away from the GMOs and
right.
all those extra things that come around.
You know, in a journey like this, you'll find, you know, a lot of things that I found was, first I had to learn how to cook again. Then I had to learn what to cook with. So now that when I'm learning this, now I'm learning that, you know, cooking with canola oil and olive oil and all them oils wasn't a good thing. You know what I mean? You wanted to cook at high temperatures with grapeseed oil, something that you learn, you know, when you want to fry or saute, you want to use grapeseed oil, the best oil to fry with at high temperatures. And then you learn that like coconut oils and olive oils, things of that nature, it's best to be eaten cold, like on a salad. You know what I mean? You know, these things.
So you mean no cooking with the olive oil?
No. Nope.
Okay.
You don't want to heat those oils at all. They work best at room temperature or cold temperatures in the body.
Okay.
This is why they keep their mineral base and their molecular structure when they're cold or room temperature, not cooked at all. You know what I mean? As opposed to grapeseed that can be cooked at, you know what I mean, high 400 degrees, you know what I mean, higher temperature. You know what I mean? And even with the meat, you know, I tell people, you know, if you're going to insist on consuming, you know, animal protein or animal flesh, try to buy it from a butcher, you know, somewhere where, you know, as opposed to the butcher versus the supermarket. You know, the butcher versus Acme is this. The butcher, this is his main product, probably his only product. So he can't lie to you or tell you that this isn't fresh or this came from somewhere and it didn't come from there, it came from somewhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if something happens to you, if you eat a bad piece of meat then that business is now yours. You know what I mean? As opposed to the supermarket that makes $500 million on toilet paper, so they can care less about the meat. They can care less about that. You know what I mean? The meat is all the way in the back, all the way in the corner. They don't know where it comes from. They really don't care. So if you get sick or you die, they'll cut you a check, cut your family.
Not only that,
about your business.
Not only that, the kids will walk by to me and put their finger in it too.
Yeah, and
you've definitely seen the kids. I did it as a kid. I put my finger in the meat.
Poke it, you know. What I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know
kids definitely do that type stuff.
That stuff has been sitting around in a warehouse somewhere for months. Now, and they started to shoot it up with dyes to make it look colorful and look red.
Colorful.
And, you know what I mean? So you know,
salines,
I would
and all
say
that type stuff.
Not only find you a good butcher, you know, that you trust, and you know, I remember growing up going to get meat with my mom, and ours used to be wrapped in paper.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You
didn't from the butcher shop.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was, you know, fresh, and you know what I mean? We cooked it that day, you know what I mean? We didn't just buy it from the market and let it sit around for days or weeks and then cooked it. You know, you bought it that day because you want to go home and cook that lamb chop or cook that, you know what I mean, that day, you know what I mean?
That was the freshest you can get.
You know what I mean? And he kept it real with you, you know what I mean? If it was a day old, 2 days old, or 3 days old, he kept it real with you. And on top of that, I would say slow cook your meat. Cook it at a lower temperature. Why is that? Because if there are some good enzymes in there that could help you, if you're cooking it too high, you're burning everything out.
It burns them out.
Okay.
You're burning everything out of it. You know what I mean? So these slow cookers, you know, back in the day, that's what they used to do. Slow cook things. You know what I mean? And they now they have them, you know, in Target and Walmart, slow cooker you can buy and all that.
Yeah.
Those are good products. You know what I mean? For people who insist on that type of diet, you know what I mean? So you might want to have a slow cooker.
And I hope y'all taking notes out there.
You know, it might you might take
look,
you a
I'm over here taking notes myself.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You might take you, you know, a little longer, but it'd be better on the body, you know what I mean, to consume it. You know what I mean? If they, like I said, if there are some good enzymes and good things in there, us just frying everything at 4,000 degrees or baking everything at 4,000 degrees, we just lost everything if it was something good in it. You know what I mean? So you cook it low and you cook it slow.
Now with we got about under 5 minutes left in the show. I know a lot of people, especially the two guys on this show, got something that they want to participate in a sense. But with Ryan and I coming off of this challenge, just finished 30 days.
30 days.
How if we wanted to, like, I personally, like, I know I'm going to eat meat again. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not going to eat meat again. I'm sure I will, and I'll probably do it tomorrow. But I'm not gonna overindulge myself. Like, I'm going to eat.
Right.
How would you suggest us and people in our position go back into it? Like you said, you go into it with a cleanse. And I know you don't. I know you're not going to say go out and get 3 cheesesteaks and just hammer them. You know what I mean? What in your opinion would be the best way to go about getting back into that lifestyle? You know, whether it be if you completely going back into it or just even maybe a couple times a week, if that much.
Now, you know, that's a tough question for a guy like me, because I'm always going to tell you.
That's why I asked you.
That's
why I asked you. I'm testing your range out here,
right,
Sean.
Right.
I'm testing your range. Here we go.
Don't do it. Don't go. You know what I mean? But
I mean, because we know that
like
it can be damaging.
Yeah.
Like, we understand
You know,
that,
like
and especially if you do too much of it.
I just, we just mentioned it just now. See, where your meat is sustained. You know what I mean? Where it's coming from. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, find you that butcher, man, down South Philly somewhere. You know what I mean? You try to cut your portions down. You know what I mean? Cut your portions. You know what I mean?
I was about to give you a name of a butcher near where you are, but I forgot that you don't eat meat. I was just about to give you a name of a really good butcher out where you are. But there's no point. There's no point in doing
it. Give it for the listeners so they'll know.
Nah, they not paying me. They not paying me. It's all right.
Right. We got to get that plug. We got to get that.
Exactly.
But, I say just try to be as conscious as you can, man, and just take, as many days as you can off from it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one other thing I wanted to say to RDOT and everybody else, but especially RDOT, because we're going through this together. Take notice of how your body feels when you get back into it. How different it is, because I know how different I feel when I cut it out.
Right.
And then, coming back in, I always gradually get back into it, and the feeling is not as prominent, right? But I think with this one, I'm going to pay attention and see, how's my mind working, how is my body working, how am I feeling, waking up, going to sleep, all the different things I'm going to try to pay attention to, and see how those things change. And I would encourage you, RDOT, to do the same thing as we get back into it.
You want to look at it like this, you were not brought here to live a short life full of aches and pains. It's not the reason you were brought here, man. You know what I mean? So, like we said last week, the meat you eat doesn't eat meat. I mean, these animals don't, the thing you have on your plate doesn't eat meat. You know what I'm saying? How is it helping itself on this planet? You know what I mean? So you want to help yourself too, because you guys are young, and people might be listening, might have children, young children, and think about your children. You know what I mean? They're watching you. They're learning what to eat and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And just, if something happens to you, God forbid, man, it's getting younger and younger, the ailments.
Yeah.
And the things happening to people. You know what I mean? I see young folks with heart problems.
What's my man Chadwick Boseman? 44
Right.
Would have been 44 today.
Right. Look at
died
now,
at 43 years old.
I don't know if y'all heard, but Busta Rhymes even had a scare, man, where he was only getting 10% of oxygen, man, to his lungs and his brain.
Wow, didn't hear about that.
And now what happened was the people around him, he had yes men around him, and people who just allowed him to do whatever. And it was his son that was on a tour bus with him one day and heard him sleeping. And he said his son just felt like, this dude might not make it through the night if we let him sleep like that. Now, his son was a little bit scared to say something to him himself. So the son told the bodyguard, hey, tell my dad I think he needs to go to the hospital. And the bodyguard told him. And when he went, they found that he had pellets on his throat. Inside on his throat, he had these pellets in there. And the doctor said, lucky you came today, because if you didn't come, you might not have made it through the night because you're only getting 10% of oxygen.
Wow.
So you got people with a lot of sleep apnea and all of these problems and sinus
I got
problems
one.
and all of these issues. And it's strictly coming from diet. It's not coming from mom or dad or, it's hereditary and all of this nonsense. It's strictly coming from what is hereditary is the menu you share with people who have all of these problems.
Wow.
And you know what? I want to leave it at that, man. I want to leave it at that. You always got to leave one more, right? So look, what I want to do is thank you, Sean, for imparting your wisdom on us. I want to thank everybody that encouraged us, Ryan and I, during this 30-day challenge, and hopefully, we will do it some more. I know I'm not eager to get right back into it, but I know me, and I know that I will have something here and there. But I'm going to encourage myself to stay, be sensible. I'm going to be sensible about
absolutely, man. It's addictive stuff, man. It's like any drug on the planet. It's very addictive, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I told my homie earlier before I got on the call with y'all. He sent me this video of a lion chasing down this hyena, man, and broke his spine, and like just one bite snapped the hyena whole spine. And I was joking with him. I said, "Now see, that's a meat eater right there." That's a meat eater. I said, the day I
crazy
see
meat, crazy and aggressive.
I said, the day I see you chase your food down and bite it and eat it while it's screaming, oh, that's a meat eater. That's a person that like meat. He didn't drag that hyena back to the fire and back to some.
That's when you meant. That's when you meant for it.
You know what I mean? And he didn't use a gun, biological weapons, hands and his teeth, and snapped a whole nother strong animal spine in half with one bite. That's a meat eater right there. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I tell somebody, I say, if you got a cat at home, try to choke your cat and see if that cat don't scratch the jack out of you and you let that cat go.
Yeah.
Okay. That's telling you right there, you ain't fit for a meat eater's diet. You ain't fit for it. Biologically, God didn't give you those tools to be able to run down on a 2,000-pound cow and just beat it to death with your hands. You can't do it. You can't do it until somebody invents weapons, and then okay. But the weapons God gave you, hands and teeth. I've seen people in fights that bit people on the softest place on their body and didn't even break the skin. This is the softest place on a person's body. A person could bite you as hard as they possibly can and just leave teeth marks. Won't even break the skin. Won't even break the skin. You know what I mean? So how can you chew on some tough bison back? Or, you know what I mean? With the teeth God gave you, and then try to convince me that you're supposed to be eating meat.
Tough bison back.
You know what I mean?
You've been vegan for too long, bro. You've been vegan too long.
You know what I mean? But then try to convince me that you're supposed to be eating this thing right here. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was going to live with me for a tough bison back.
You know what I mean? So, but you're not even equipped to even take down the smallest of animals, which is a cat, with the tools you have. You're not even equipped to take that down, let alone some type of big 2,000-pound thing or something that can actually fight back. Right. You know what I mean? So, it's just ways to just think about it, man. But like I said, if you insist, then there's smarter ways to do this thing. You know what I mean? There's more brilliant ways to do this thing to help yourself out. If you insist on doing that.
There you have it. So that's about it, man. We're gonna wrap it up right there. I know at midnight, I think our Hunter's probably gonna have a big bowl of steak cereal. It's probably sprinkle some bison back on the side of that. I don't know, but but no, I'm just playing. But I really hope that you make healthier choices as well as myself. We go hold each other accountable. I mean, we talk to each other every day. We go hold each other accountable. Yeah. But I just want to say that, Sean, I don't know if I told you this last week, but you were a big influencer of us doing this challenge. You were one of the biggest reasons we did this was because of you and Go Vegan Philly.
It's the reason why I do it, man. For guys like you or anybody that is in the sound of my voice, so just follow me or whatever, man. It's I had family, my mother and my friends, man, that had, diabetics and heart problems and all of this. And I looked at it and I said, wow, man, pretty much I'm next. because I eat like they eat. So I wanted to change for them. It wasn't even for me personally. It was I wanted to go out there, stick my neck out there first and see what worked and what didn't work. So when I come back to the tribe and say, hey, look, this works right here. Do this, at least do this. If you just listen to me for this amount of time, I'm telling you, you'll see some changes, man. And the people who they listen to me, they see the changes, man, and they feel it, man. So I just want to get more and more people to just invest in themselves in that way, because it's an investment. You know, people say, well, it's going to be expensive to eat that way and yada, yada, yada. But it's an investment, man. It's an investment.
Absolutely. There you have it. It's an investment. Invest in your health, invest in your life, invest in your well-being. And, with that being said, you can also invest in New Twist Radio. I'll tell you how. Just hit me up. 215-486-0335. Let me know what you want to know, and I'll let you know what you want to hear. But anyway, I'm for Sean and for Ryan and for myself and everybody listening, appreciate y'all checking us out. You can check out Let's Not Argue. I almost forgot what Sean doing. I'm looking at two different people. You can check out Let's Not Argue at 9 p.m. every day, or Monday through Friday, on newtwistradio.com, and tell a friend to check it out too. Of course, you can check out this video at any time on YouTube, and of course, you can check out all of our shows on demand on Spreaker, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. All right, and if you missed any of it, just go back and check it out. And if you missed any of the show, hit me up, 215-486-0335. I'll send you the link. All right. So for R. Hunter, for Sean Thomas, I'm out of here. We're out of here. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Peace. Love y'all.
Love y'all to death, man. I promise.
Thanks,
We love y'all. All right, fellas. Great job.